Table Podcast. I'm your boy Corey G at Small Arms Danny at Trey Speed and the graphic gangster himself Cole Susak. What up, Sam Adams? Brought to you by Max Effort. Sam Adams. We got part 2 with Anthony Oliveria. Westside stories, squat stories, fucking Hoff stories. Anthony Oliveira stories. We're just going to talk about training. Crack check.
Yeah, crack check. Sam Adams, just the haze all fucking day. Get your
crack check.
Yeah, crack check. Here we go.
Oh!
Sound of what? Danny, on a scale of like 1 to 6'9", what do you keep?
Definitely a 6 or 9.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
6 or 9.
Strong.
6.9%.
Strong 6'9", yeah.
Jeez. All right, Anthony, first off, if you haven't listened to the last episode, go back because that was a sick-ass business episode.
Yes.
So fucking great work on that. Now we're going to talk about why you got a fucking business, right?
Lifting
so,
weights.
Yeah, lifting motherfucking weights. I want to start before you get to Westside, just so we have a background, is like what kind of weights were you hitting before you made, the drive to Columbus was $600 to go to Westside Barbell?
So
Like how strong were you already?
I did, my first meet I ever did, I went 505 squat, 325 bench, and a 575 pull at 220.
Raw?
Raw.
Okay.
Drug tested the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. How old were you?
Fucking A, dude. I was 28.
Okay.
27, something like that.
So you started a little bit later then.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had already done like college sports. I had already like...
You're a hockey guy.
I already had a drug addiction that I had gotten over.
Yeah,
So,
I gotcha.
Like, I had lived like a whole life before that. But I had a lot of salt on the hull because I had like skateboarded my whole life. I had already had a knee surgery. Like, was a goalie.
What'd you say? Salt on the what?
Salt on the hull.
Salt
mean?
on the hull.
Like a ship
Like a
that's been in
ship,
the water
yeah.
for a
Oh.
long time.
Okay.
Like Sam.
Like I'm.
Like Sam Adams.
Shout out to Sam
Exactly.
Adams. Yes.
Yeah. So like.
Salt on the hull.
Yeah. Like kind of.
I've never fucking heard that
like
before.
kind of beat down. Like.
Yeah, I got it.
But yeah. So.
All right. Fuck
That was my first one, and then my first multiply meet, I went like 755, 455, 640.
Okay.
I didn't cut to 220 for that one, but then like my breakout sort of meet for the area that I was in, I totaled 2,000 at 220. I went like 850, 480, 670, something like that. And that was 220 in multiply. And then and then I tore my meniscus at a hardcore show and had to get surgery.
Like performing?
No.
Oh, like
Head
in a
walking,
mosh pit?
like jumping off the stage and trying to walk on
shit.
people's heads. And I fell. And whatever. So
Just normal.
I have like videos from that show too. It was like it like happened.
Prove it.
Like, that kind of like felt weird. And I went in the bathroom and like there I am like wide stance squatting at a hardcore show in the bathroom. Like, is my knee fucked up? I think it is. So
I always say it's mostly other shit.
it's never it's always like some dumb shit.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
So then my first meet after that I totaled 2,100, went 905, 5 something, 6
Damn.
something. And that was like my tryout meet for Westside. That was after I had gone there and done a Circumax with them. Actually, I squatted that 850 to total the 2,000, got hurt. Then I was coming out for a push-pull, and when we were driving up, Brian Silfies called me, the guy who actually bought the gym from, called me. He's like, I was talking to Lou, and he said, why don't you try out or something, like kind of half jokingly. And I was like, I got off the phone and I'm like looking in the car. I'm like, I guess I'm going to try out at West. I don't fucking know. Like, this was when me and Val were not dating. We were just training partners.
Okay.
But we were in the car together with our other training partner. I'm like, it's lit. I don't know. Like, I don't
Let's
know what's
fucking
going on.
ride.
So when we pull up and Lou's like, hey man, like, what are you going to do this weekend? I'm like, I'm going to bench 5, pull 7. And then I'm going to come in here on Monday and squat 9. It just like came out of my mouth.
Yeah.
My best squat was 850, and I hadn't put on a canvas since I blew my knee off. So like,
fuck yeah.
we'll just see, And I did that.
Hell
I did
yeah.
all that, and then I was like, he's like, why don't you should do this meet with us in West Virginia? And I was like, cool, yeah, I'll do it. Like, I don't care. Like, I'll go. And I was like in like 8 weeks or something like that. And then when we left, Tom Barry called Brian and was like, Lou would like him to come back for Circumax. So I came back. I squatted 6 plates and a quarter plus blue and greens to a box. And then I asked him, I was like, what do I have to do to train here? And he's like, you can move out here right now.
Fuck
And
yeah.
I was like, sick, like, let me do this meet. So the kind of this, I don't think I've told this on this podcast before, but we were at the meet. My best pull in a full meet was 670.
Mm-hmm.
My best pull was 705 in a push pull. And like people who don't know, like that's a big difference in multiply, full meet and a push pull.
For sure.
Like squatting and then having.
Squatting takes a lot out of you.
Yeah. Especially like I squat so wide, like a lot of hip, whatever. And I was like, I think I'm going to open with like 630, whatever. And Brian's like, don't be a pussy. Like open 675. Like the fuck's the matter with you? And I look and Tommy was there and I was just like, what do you think, man? Like, I don't know. Like, and he's like, well, it's not like you don't have or he goes, it's not like you've got a invite to Westside weighing in the balance on this one or anything. And I was like, oh, this is a tryout meet? I already quit my fucking job. Like,
you thought I was already in.
I had no idea. Like, I had already squatted 905 in that meet and whatever, but I was like, holy shit. So I went out, I opened with 675, which was a 5-pound full meet PR, and then I missed 710 twice. But because I was like missing it right at the top, Lou was like, if you come to the gym, like when you come to the gym, you have no ass. He was like, in 3 months, I'll put 100 pounds on your squat in 3 months. And I moved out there in September, and in December I squatted 1,005. And my best squat was 905.
No shit.
Yeah, like straight up, like I've had a lot of weird stuff go on with Lou. We have not great relationship, but that was the moment.
But he said it and he did it.
He said it and 100%. Well, like I fucking
did it,
but
yeah.
he led the way, and because Lou would have like pets, you know, and I was like his new toy. So for those first 3 months, he just followed me around the gym, and was like, "You don't do anything besides hip thrusts in the belt squat." And fucking reverse hypers till you puke, basically. Like, you do those two things.
What was the volume like? Was it daily? Was it 3 times a week? Was it?
I was on a reverse hyper every time I went in the building.
Come.
And then basically at that point, we were still doing like weird squat variations on Monday. So like we'd go in, you have no idea what you're doing. Like, all right, I guess we're doing cambered bar with bands over the plates to a 1-rep max to a box, like, you know, that sort of stuff. And so we would do that, and then I would like crush. Like, my training back then was set up way more wild. And I think that because people will look at that stuff, like I don't have my guys squat once a week now. Yeah. They deadlift on Mondays, they squat on Fridays. Like, it's not like speed and max effort. It's those are the 2 days. Sometimes we're doing speed pulls, sometimes we're doing speed squats, like sometimes heavy, whatever. And but back then, like people will be like, well, you squatted every Monday and you do this, and it's like, well, first of all, you're not me. So there's that. I also like.
So there's that.
Like I started preparing for my Monday morning squat session at like 10 a.m. on Sunday.
Yeah.
And you can't get to the gym 3 days a week. So it's different, right?
Yeah.
So, but I think it's kind of a battle of attrition because sometimes you have to do the crazy shit to get over the hump.
That's a fact.
But you got to stay whole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you
during the crazy shit.
Yes, you got to kind of be crazy. It's like, so there's like, I saw guys come in there who couldn't. And it sounds like I'm not beating my chest. Some people are just not built to do that shit and stay in one piece. Yeah. And so you see guys come in and they fucking fall apart. And I'm not saying that in I'm tougher than you. It's like, dude, I look at stuff that like
some dudes aren't durable, bro.
Yeah, and some guys can't train that way. And like even when I was there, like I'd look at Chuck in his old age doing stuff and be like, man, I could never train like that. That doesn't mean that you're tougher than me. That means your leverages and your fucking genetics allow you to do that because of where your tendon insertions are or whatever. But like, so I got through that point, you know, where I was really training like a crazy maniac. My volume was through the fucking roof, and we did extra workouts too. So on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, like
secondary workouts,
twice a day. Yeah. So when I first got there, I was doing 1,000 reps of abs every day.
I fuck with that.
So, and I was like, dude, like you guys probably look at me now like I'm a fat guy compared to the dudes that you train with. Y'all are all, but like when I first moved out there, like I was like 228 and fucking jacked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, I was doing abs every day, and I feel
that had probably a lot to do with your squat going up 100 pounds too, right? Because your fucking brace was crazy compared to what it was.
Abs, like, you know, just the change in stimulus and like all that stuff. So I had a good base, And like I was at the time like significantly more wild than I am now. Mm-hmm. So like now if I start squatting and like my groin hurts or something, I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah, shut it down.
Like I'm not doing this.
You wouldn't
but
have done
then
that
I'm
back.
like, I don't give a fuck. Like
Yeah.
you know, we squatted on Christmas morning one time, and Val
So hold on. So Tony started a conversation when he was on the podcast where he's like, you know, the first time I ever put a squat suit on, it was Christmas Day. I'm like, he just said it like it was.
So not matter.
Yo, the only thing that changed was we didn't eat at Bob Evans. We ate at Waffle House that day because Bob's was closed. That was the only thing that changed. And like, so because of that, like, there was a kind of a strict like no girlfriend policy. I mean, I say strict, but depending on who was there, whatever. So Val came with that day. There were a couple girls that came in because it was Christmas morning. Lou kind of allowed it, and I had this crazy like. Basically like pelvic floor, so like your taint, like I had a crazy injury down there that bothered me for fucking years. It was fucked.
That's crazy.
And she hadn't seen me squat live in a long time. We did a free squat, briefs and bare knees. I did like 9-10 or something. And like she came over to me before my briefs even came off, and she's like, you need to go to the fucking doctor, dude. Like you look like you're gonna explode. Like you are injured. You need to fucking stop. Like you need to see someone about this. Because I was just like, I'd come back and be like, I'm fine. It's not too bad.
That's a great conversation to bring up to your doctor.
Yeah, I'm just like, well, I'm trying to squat more weight than you can conceive, and I have a sharp pain between my balls and ass.
my taint's broken.
Like
Danny loves this.
You know, like the crazy part about it though is that,
But it's real.
and like it get a little woo woo here. Like I did everything that you could do. I did dry needling on my adductors. I did every PT you could possibly think of. And I guess like men carry stress there. Like it's one of those things. Dude, when I left Westside the first time, I never felt that pain again. The first week I was training at Sweatshop, it went away. The first fucking week, dude, I shit you not. I was just like, bah.
So that's an actual thing.
That's an actual thing.
Men carry stress in their taint.
And their
taint stress?
It's your pelvic floor,
Maybe
bro.
I have taint stress.
bro, you might have taint stress.
I might
dude.
because
You already said taint, so the train is left the
because-
station.
Yeah, sorry.
Well,
sorry,
you know,
my dude.
I guess it's not directly my.
I need
taint
alcohol in my
area.
beer now. I think.
Because it's not directly my taint area, but it's the outer taint area, like my hips and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
you might have taint stress.
But
dude.
it goes away whenever I fucking wrap up, and it might be just because my body needs stability. My taint needs
Your
stability.
there's
You know?
chakras get aligned.
Of course, there's
bro.
an inner and outer taint.
Yeah. So.
And what does this crystal do?
Just sit on the crystal.
Yeah.
No, but for real,
Well,
I
I've
was
been
like,
stretching
But
so
real
relaxed, so
talk
I've been
though, this
stretching
is real.
my
Okay, back on the rails.
for real though.
please.
So like, yeah. So I,
Jesus,
That's tough.
that was good. That was
I
good.
knew it had a,
Yeah,
I knew it had a
not
potential.
scripted. Yeah.
But yeah. So as soon as I as soon as I left, like it stopped hurting, which is crazy. But like it did happen. But yeah. So like, long story long, my training there was wild.
Yeah,
Fucking wild.
but that's also when you went to an entirely different level.
Yeah, I mean,
so
like
that's
I
part
went
of it.
from I think I did. Oh fuck! It was like I did like 12 meets or 11 meets in 18 months.
Oh wow!
Like I just fucking.
Holy
I went
shit.
from 905 to 1075.
Yeah.
In my squat, like it was like everybody was like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" What was funny was if I had squatted 100 pounds less, I would have looked like a better lifter. Because if you look at somebody and they go 975, 580, 720, you're like, okay. But if they go 1075, 580, 720, you
gotcha.
go, what's wrong with this dude's bench?
Yeah.
Literally. Like people are like, what the fuck's wrong with your bench? It's like, I out-total you by 200 pounds. But they're like, yeah, but I bench 7 something.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, well, what's wrong with your squat bench? I don't know.
Yeah.
so it was weird because my squat got so good and my bench got. Louie's downfall was he didn't know how to coach a bencher. That was the big thing.
Yeah. And a lot of the big benchers back in the day were so good raw too.
They're all benching 550 raw.
Correct.
And big men.
Yeah.
And or small bench specialists. So
Like
it's-
Jay Fry,
yes,
Freddie
it's
Bolt,
like-
those guys. Yeah.
Yeah, so like it was a little different for them, and trying to take someone who, like, my squat volume was crazy. So like I'd go in, I mean, I squatted 6 plates and 2 blue bands and briefs on a safety squat bar. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I did some pretty wild shit there, and it's hard to figure out when to put on the bench shirt.
Yeah.
After something like that and all that, that's where Dave really helped, was lining stuff up where he's like, dude, like don't try to do 3 hard things in 1 week.
Yeah.
What are you doing? You know what I mean?
Especially with the weight that you guys are handling.
Yeah, and being a smaller person, that was something me and Lou butted heads about, because it was like, you're not really used to guys my size squatting these weights. Mm-hmm. At that time, like there was a big jump in the squats in the gym, because I think, honestly, because I showed up and I was like the new guy who really pushed the squats.
Yep.
You know, and so like, you know, me and John Armistead and, you know, like Coker and these guys, like our squats kind of went up, but then it's like you look around and it's like not many guys under 250 pounds squatting 4 digits in here.
No.
So you can't really compare the abuse on a 300-pound dude's body
So different, bro.
versus a dude who's walking around at 250. It's just like, bro, like you can't.
Or like 200.
Yeah, exactly. Like you can't. Like it's just different. Like weights. Like a max effort is a max effort, but there is another realm of like, we're both made out of flesh and bone. So like what 1,100 pounds does to me is different than what a top end for an 800-pound squatter does to them.
For sure.
If we're similar size. So I had to change a bunch of stuff. But when I first got there, it was like balls out, like marathon fucking 2.5 hour workouts, like just fucking killing ourselves in there.
Did you fuck with it though? Like you were signing up for it?
I was bought in.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, the Kool-Aid had been drank.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I was in it. I was fuck everything outside of this. And, but I mean, it elevated the fuck out of me, my business. It taught me a lot of stuff that like, there's that like quote from the Westside versus the World, like, you know, where Bob Coe says like, oh, Lou taught me more about being a man than my dad did, and all this stuff. And that may have been his experience. But for me, it was like Westside showed me a lot of stuff that I did not want to be.
Sure.
But for a while, I did want it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that's good.
So when I was there, I was like, yeah, fighting and, you know, this. But like, as I got older, I was like, I don't really, like, I'm an athlete. I want to, like, lift weights and be successful in business and, you know, like, have a good relationship with my wife and all that stuff. So I learned a lot there, like an incredible amount on both sides of it.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, my association with that building, good, bad, or indifferent, kind of showed people who I was as a person. And I think that because I documented so much of it on social media, that people have been able to see the growth and people like identify with that. You know, this dude, Mark Chico, he's a big raw bencher. I remember, I think it was when I totaled 2,500, he texted me. He either texted me or commented on it saying like, you know, when you first came on the scene in Ohio, you were just some fucking dude with tattoos and a big mouth. And he's right.
Yeah.
And now you've actually done something to back that up.
Fuck with that.
And it took me a while to get to that point. Like that whole confidence versus cocky thing, like it took me a while to figure that out. When I first got there, I was like, this is it. Like I have totally bought in. The only thing I didn't do was get the tattoo because it's a bad luck.
Yeah, no, everyone that does ends up gone.
There's something fucked up happens.
Unless you're Amy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Shout out Amy.
She's
Weiser.
amazing.
She's the best ever. Every time I see her, I give her a big hug.
She's unreal.
She's like, was always so kind to me and my wife.
She was always super nice to me too.
Val said that she's her favorite training partner she ever had.
She's just relentless, dude.
Tough,
and
bitch,
she was putting
Tough.
up crazy numbers back in the day.
Yeah,
people weren't even fucking close to her when she first came out, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
even in her older age, like, I mean, you're looking at some woman in her fucking mid 40s and she's still squatting like 5 something.
Yeah, she squatted 6 the first time I went to the gym.
Jesus Christ!
And I was like, okay, well, I squat I think 6'10", but go fuck myself.
What do they say? What do they say? Like get. Like more guys have been thrown out of that gym because of Amy than any other reason.
No fucking
just,
question.
Get embarrassed.
Yeah,
you know
dude.
I mean?
And she weighed like 150 pounds.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like,
fuck's sake.
Yeah, dude.
We would do that with Val with Night Crew when guys would come in.
Yeah, I'm sure.
They'd want to fucking whatever. And it's like, well, Val's first set in her briefs is 295 plus 5 chains in briefs. So like...
there's the parking lot.
And we're doing triples, bro.
Yeah.
So like, and that's her first set. So she's gonna be around 4 plates by the time we're done. Like, what are you doing? Like, I mean, you know,
Yeah.
I was there when, or I was.
That's one of the best checks of all time, bro.
Dude, yeah, like the girl who's under 200 pounds, that's out squat. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like there's nothing arguable about it. It's like one dude came in, he's big guy, probably. Oh, he was big, like 300 plus, soft. He did 2 sets and then laid on the floor and was like, I hurt my hip or whatever. This was at Doghouse, and we're like, yeah. No.
Yeah, sure.
Val just snapped one off in your butt, bro.
Your confidence just got fucking
I'm sorry.
hammered.
You know what I mean? Like, I seen her do, she did 5 plates, 5 chains on an 85-pound camber bar for 2 in just briefs.
An 85-pound
And she had like either torn an ab or popped a rib out. So like, I was actually in New Hampshire. I was sponsoring a meet. I had driven out there by myself. And she sends me a video. She got 2 fucking belts on. I'm like, hey, what are you in the fucking mummy crew? Like, you know, like like what's going on? And she's like, oh, I popped a rib. So we just like, I don't know. We just put a belt on it. And then like when she got leaner this year, she's like, I don't think I popped a rib. I think I tore one of my abs because she's got like she's got like a divot in her.
That's fucking wild.
And I was like, you fucking savage. And I wasn't there for it. I'm like, and that to me was like kind of a wake up call to me where it was just like, yo, she is fucking on another level with this shit. So I think people miss that.
I have a question. Whenever she's like, because it's got to be cool for you to watch her squat these heavy weights and do this crazy shit.
Yeah.
Do you like yell at her? Like, what's the support like?
Dude,
like, what
are you
those
turned
conversations?
on? Like, what's happening?
What's going on?
All of the
All of the above.
My quarter chub.
Yeah.
So I'd say nervous a little bit. I do get like, obviously now like she's stepped away from the sport and she does like raw lifting and she trains in the mono next to us, but she's still probably my most valuable training partner.
For sure.
She just tells me exactly how the fuck it is. But yeah, like funny you should say, what do I say to her? So we're training, this was at Westside when we had gotten invited back, and it was probably like her second or third time squatting with the group. Now she's used to doing like 2 plates, plate quarter, and a green band for speed work for squats down at Sweatshop. She shows up and all of a sudden we're using 5 chains on a camber bar, and Dave's like, what do you squat? All right, cool, 3 plates. And she's like, holy shit, she's getting fucking destroyed.
Yeah.
So she's walking up to a weight, or the other girl, Jamie, Jeff's wife, had walked up and he's like, let's go, bitch. Like, come on. And I heard that and I was like, ooh, okay. And then, then Val is walking up to the bar and Dave's like, let's go, bitch. Come on, motherfucker. And I was like, sitting there, I'm like, I was kind of on tilt, like, is she going to flip out? And she's just like, I got on the bar. And I'm like, it's okay if he says it.
Yeah. This is like a whole different dynamic out here.
You say it, but I'm not going to
I'm not going to say
Okay,
a fucking thing. I'm just going to spot her and shut the fuck up. But yeah, we used to get pretty rowdy with her when she was doing that stuff. And I look back on it now and it's like so fucking sick to me because
hell yeah,
we were talking to some chick the other day who was having a hard time with like recovery and, you know, and she's like, how did you do it? And Val's like, yo, I literally ate everything I fucking saw. I just ate, and that's how I had to recover. Like I just had to do it. Working in a restaurant, working doubles, 10 hours.
Yeah, she's on her feet all the time.
And still being able to hang with us. Like she's like, and she was talking about the other night, and I'm like, that's so sick to me. Even though she's walked away from it, and I respect that and everything she's doing, but like thinking back on it, I'm like, man, you're
all in.
Fucking savage. And because of when she left, the time frame, like, all of a sudden girls started, when she squatted 700, like there weren't many girls doing that. And now there's like a handful of them who have squatted like high 7s.
Yeah.
But that happened like she kind of like kicked the door down and then walked away.
Yeah.
So like, I think people like kind of miss, but like she has like 3 top 10 all time squats, you know, a bunch of her bench is like top 4 in her weight class, whatever. In a real bencher. So like, it's sick, like to think about that now. But long story long, I didn't yell at her much. You know what I mean? I would just be like, let's fucking go. And sick part about Val is she get bloody noses with heavy weights. So she looked way tougher than I looked. Talk about getting turned on. Like watch your wife squat 700 pounds, get a bloody nose. I'm like, let's go somewhere.
You can't even like turn. Yeah. So good, dude. Talk to me about making that big squat, taking Greg off the board, writing your name on the board, which, you know, is, I guess, really the top of all top to have your name on there, however long it lasts, right?
I mean, I posted it I remember when I posted it, I was like,
It was 1065.
1065 at 242. I posted it and I just said like, this is what I came here for.
Yeah.
You know what
Fuck
I mean?
yeah.
Like, this is what I came here for, and what I plan on doing. And that squat was fucking buried too. That one was like,
It was good.
1065 and 1075 were both. 1070 was like 3 inches high, but the those other two were buried. And getting your name on that board is epic. And obviously, I don't have a lot of mixed feelings about Westside and all that stuff, but you can't take that away from me. That's like one of those things where I feel fortunate that I was healthy enough to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But it's also one of those things where like I can kind of bang my chest and be like, yeah, I fucking did that.
Hell yeah.
There's tons of people who came in those doors with the same training partners, with the same environment, and couldn't do that.
And to take off a squat like Greg had at that weight class.
Yeah.
It was fucking.
And Greg, like, when Lou said, Lou would say like he's one of the strongest guys that ever walked in the building.
Yep.
And so to take him off the board was really cool. And then to do it again, and take up my own number again. And now it's a bummer because they said they froze that board now.
Yeah.
They're not going to change anything. There were 2 guys that came in after me that took my name down, which sucks because I wasn't up there. But something Dave said to me when I first got up there, he's like, it's not just your name in that square.
Yeah.
It's everybody who came before you.
Yeah. That's
and,
true.
You're part of history there because my number is not 1065 if Greg's was not 1060.
Facts.
And his was not 1060. It's kind of like when you see someone as soon as someone ran a 3-minute mile or whatever, a bunch of other motherfuckers did it.
Yeah.
And so that's sort of like, it was a big fucking deal to me, dude. And I try to be kind of.
It is a big deal.
Yeah, like that's something that for me, legacy, is really important to me. And being from New Hampshire where strength culture isn't huge, we're working on changing that. It's cool to come from a place like that and be like, I was basically self-taught to 905.
Hell yeah.
I didn't start getting help until I was fucking around with 4-digit squats. So I take a lot of pride in that. And I take a lot of pride that like my body of work, when you look at like my biggest lifts in the weight classes, they were done to a pretty good standard. And I'm not one to get into like judging this and whatever, and you get what the judges give you.
Sure.
And I'll never apologize for getting a squat pass that maybe shouldn't have. Like when I played hockey, if they scored on me and the ref didn't see and I pulled it out before he did, no goal, motherfucker. I'm not gonna be like, oh, actually they scored.
Yeah.
So if I get something passed, that's kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
Well,
because there's some that should have been passed that don't get passed.
And I've had that happen.
That happens to everybody.
It happens later in your career.
Sure.
And then you get mad and then you're like, oh, well, I kind of squeaked one by that other time.
Yeah.
So, being on the board was really a big deal to me. And it kind of legitimized stuff with my family too.
Yeah.
When they saw that happen, it was like, oh, like you're doing it. Like you're not.
You're a player.
You know how people will be like, you do the powerlifting.
Yeah.
Is that with the stone?
Like
is that with the stones? And it's like, yeah. But when you start saying like, yeah, dude, like I just got put on this board that's like legendary. That's like that board is like a who's who of multiply.
Yeah.
And I didn't do it in some weirdo way where I was like there part time.
Yep.
I didn't do it as like a visitor.
Yeah,
I
went
did
all
it.
in.
I was in there. I moved there. I lived there. I dealt with all the bullshit that comes with being a full-time member there. And I took a lot of pride in that too, because there's definitely been people who like, oh, you're there 2 days a week, and Lou counts it. It's like, I don't know, man. I was there 4 days a week, and if I missed a workout, I was getting phone calls.
Yep.
So, to me, I took a lot of pride in being like, I did this full time. I went all in, and I was rewarded for that with like being a part of history. That like again, right now, I think Logan Zecker is up there with like a 1090. And we trained with Logan, like he was in night crew for a minute, and like that's sick. Because without me doing 1075, that doesn't happen.
Yeah, of course.
He wouldn't have gone 1090. He would have gone 10 whatever to get on the board.
Sure.
So, I take a lot of pride in that. It was a big moment for me.
You talked about family, and I think this is a good segues to the single ply all-time record, right? I think talk about that because your parents came to watch. You're jumping lists with heavy hitter names.
Yeah.
I mean, so talk about
Ed
Cohen is on that list.
Hatfield, like there's lots of guys. Thomason, like they were like super. They're older, and my mom, like they both been sick. Like my dad had cancer, all that stuff. So they were really like scared of the COVID stuff. They hadn't seen me compete in years at that point, and they flew out for that meet. So I just posted the video the other day because it was a year ago or whatever. And I don't post the whole video because there's like this weird moment where like I step out, I look, it was this way, I look this way, I look at the lights, I get it. I hug Dave. And then I turn to him, I'm like, let's go, motherfucker. Like, I like yell.
And then you go right to your parents.
I see my parents, and I literally, I put a clip, like, I cut it because the transition from, like, rage, happiness to, like, seeing my parents, it makes me look like a psycho. Because I'm like, yeah, motherfucker. And then
I remember seeing that.
Hug my mom.
It's like the switch went back.
Yeah.
Hey, Mom. What's up, Mom?
My sister called me later that day, actually, and she was like, just so you know, like, Mom and Dad are, like, they will never forget. They are, like, beside themselves that you took a second to like acknowledge them. And it's like
right in that moment,
yo, my parent, like obviously we had our shit like when I was going through my stuff with the drugs and everything, but like they have never been anything less than supportive of me. They didn't understand it, but like they've never said don't do that. My dad had cancer when I moved to Ohio, and when I called him, I was still in my suit bottoms after I did that Circumax to get invited or whatever. I called him in the parking lot. I was still smoking cigarettes at the time, like smoking a butt in a fucking suit, straps down on the phone, just like looking like an idiot.
I love that you was real about that picture of that moment.
Like, and I called him and I was like, hey man, like we did it, like I'm going or whatever. And he was like, I don't want you to leave, but you have to. You know what I mean? They've always been supportive. When I said like, I'm not going to work a normal job, like I'm going to do this trigger warning thing, I'm going to do this thing, and like they were skeptical, but they were never anything less than like you do whatever you know, anything you've set your mind to, you've decided that you're gonna do, and you've done it. So like we support you. And so having them there for that moment was fucking huge, because they weren't able to come out to the WPO in 2020 when I placed third. And I know my mom was like upset about that because that was like a big moment for me after my coach had died and all this stuff. So when they came out for the single ply stuff, like it was cool. Like, and it's like not, it's just, it's cool to be able to just say, I did that. I decided I was going to do that. My parents shared that moment with me. My team shared that moment with me. My wife was there. You know, like you got a bunch of awesome fucking pictures that day.
Oh, that's right. Trey covered it.
Yeah. He got like great fucking video, bunch of pictures. And like that moment is, I don't want to say it was a turning point for me, but it was another notch that I could say like, give me something else that I say I'm going to fucking do. I'll do it right now,
you showed up and you fucking did it.
Yeah.
What was the number?
1036.2, and I weighed like 258.
Fuck yeah.
So it was, I beat Henry Thomason with that one, who's like a legend, first guy to try to squat 1,300. Yeah, and so that was a really big, I fucked myself up. I hurt my shoulder, my forearm. I couldn't bench an empty bar. Remember I came here, I had to do the reverse grip?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. My shit was all fucked up, but like to me, totally worth it.
Oh yeah.
You know, and like I plan on pushing that number more in the future. I just got some stuff I got to do a multiply first.
Yeah.
So
everyone usually that comes out of Westside, it's funny because they eerily can remember variations, numbers, things they've seen. Right? It's just part of it, right? And I feel I'm the same way. Things I saw there. It's like, whether it's yours or something you saw Dave do, Jason, any of these guys, what are some of the things you saw from a bench squat deadlift that you went, oh, like,
fuck me.
Yeah. Because everyone has those moments when they go through those doors. They're like, can't believe I saw that today.
So I've seen some shit in that building.
I know.
I saw Dave do a 565 floor press for 2. That was insane.
Yeah.
I saw one day we were doing,
raw, obviously.
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, I've side spotted him for like 1120 one boards and stuff like that. Which is,
what happens when 1120 goes sideways?
well, dude, like
You can't.
I've talked about this with training partners before.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to get an annoying injury to save your buddy from getting fucking maimed.
Die.
Yeah, because it's like I have to be willing to potentially blow my bicep off to make sure you still have your head attached to your body.
Facts.
And it's like the same thing with a squat. Like you have to be willing to like maybe get hurt to make sure that they don't get like life-changingly injured.
Yeah.
And that is like a big thing with like the training group, and knowing that you can trust these people, that they're willing to like, because there were certain people at Westside that I wouldn't spot because I'm like, that motherfucker's reckless. I am not going to blow my bicep off because you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to do it.
You just knew it, yeah.
So as far as like big lifts, I saw one day we were doing safety squat bar, the one with no handles there, the fucking
terrible.
neck breaker, blue, green, purple band on it. And Tony Baloney shows up. And Tony's like, Chuck's cousin
really
or whatever.
Strong.
And, like, they say he's like the stupidest, strongest dude. Like
totally like 2,800 or something.
He'd pick up like 1150 and like look at Lou and then like squat. Like I was never there for that.
Yeah.
Like I want to be
strong.
really clear, like what I was there for or what I wasn't. I was not there for that, but I always heard that. So he shows up and he's like, "Oh, I think I'm going to squat with you guys. I haven't squatted in like 6 months." And I look at Christian Mello and I was just like, I'm about to beat Tony Baloney. Watch this motherfucker. I'm about to beat this dude. And I squatted 475 plus those bands on that bar. He did like 650 in like a pair of briefs that he like just pulled on.
Yeah, that probably weren't even tight.
Fuck, dude. Like that was crazy. I know I saw like, as far as bench stuff is concerned, I saw Dave do like 5 plates and change to a 2 board against double purples raw. Ooh. Those bands are no ho.
No.
Like, those are severe.
No, me and Cole got a little bit of that on the Sunday crew a couple times.
Yeah, that's whenever Treadway missed the bar.
Yeah.
Right? You missed the bar on that.
Yeah.
I'm just running.
He said he's just running it.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched.
He has no comment.
I watched Dave do 1,000. So this was after he left us. This at Doghouse, but he did 1,005 plus 200 and chain on a Cambridge bar for 2 to a box. Just briefs. That was fucking insane. I remember being like, "What the fuck?" Dude, probably one of the most insane looking things I saw that was like, I am in fucking outer space right now. Was we were pulling up for that push pull. Actually, we were pulling up and. This dude, they used to call him Wolverine. He was like a small fighter there. I forget his last name. But we pull up, and he's got a Bluetooth in his ear. He's talking to someone on the phone.
Okay.
He's got the wheelbarrow, right? And then, so that's stacked up with however many plates on it. He's walking, and he's got the head harness with a band down to the front of the wheelbarrow. He's walking and doing
neck stuff at the same time.
And talking on the phone. He's like, "Yeah, so fucking anyway." And I was just like, where the fuck am I right now? This is insanity.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, this is probably one of the craziest things I saw. They were doing out of chains, like a good morning out of chains, and it was 2 monsters down and purple's kind of forward.
Okay.
And Jake Anderson, it was Jake Anderson, Chuck, I think Luke was probably in the mix there. That kind of like crew. And they're going whatever. They're doing like triples. Jake missed, I think it was like 4 plates or 4.5 plates. He missed the second rep and puts it down, and they're busting his fucking balls. Like, just like, "Oh, yeah, nice one, buddy." Like, whatever. And Jake's like real quiet. Yeah. He's like a real religious guy. He's like pretty put together. And then I see him walk back under. He did it for like, it was either 5 or 6 after that.
After he missed the second one.
I was like, "Oh, someone's going to die."
Like,
holy shit. So he did it and then immediately walked right to the bathroom and puked. And I was like, it's different here.
It is different.
And that was pretty early on when I was like, "Oh, okay, like this is a different thing than I'm used to." And I'm sure like other stuff that I saw there, like training with Dave, it's hard to look back and because everything he does is nuts.
Crazy, yeah.
I've seen that dude dump 12 something off his back, take his knee wraps off, knee wrap, and fucking smoke it. Like, and it's like,
what's his mentality? Why is he so different, Anthony?
Dude, Dave's an awesome guy, but he's a weird cat.
Yeah.
He
aren't we all just a little bit weird though?
He beats to the time and the sound of a different, like his own drummer. Like he just is who he is. I think probably one of the most like monumental things he said to me. I was warming up at the meet that I squatted 1075. It was my first APF meet. The judging was going to be tight. They actually the judges had uniforms on, and I was like, this is like way more legit than meets I've done in the past. I'm looking around like, holy shit. And I took like a warm up in the back, and I looked at Val and I was like, "That moved good. Like, did that move?" And he goes, "Doesn't matter how it moved. Weight is weight. Just squat it." And it's like, and that's why you're the best.
Yeah.
That is why you are the fucking best. And
like he's not concerned whether it moved well or not.
He's like, who gives a fuck? He's like, everything's gonna feel like shit. Everything's gonna feel heavy. Just fucking squat it. He always just says form and technique.
Yeah.
Another big thing he taught me too, like that he's okay with, is the what goes up must come down. So when I would be in there fucking tripping because I missed a 450 double on floor press, he's like, bro, like, we're fucking 16 weeks out from meet. What the fuck do you care? Like, what goes up must come down. You cannot always be jacked and strong.
Yeah.
Like, you have to, like, there's going to be times
There's cycles of it
where it comes down. He's like, you're going to have good sessions, bad sessions. You're going to have good years and bad years.
Yeah. That's fucking truth.
You know, and when you really get to know Dave, you notice that, like, he's just lifting weights. Like that post that Michael made the other day from the Westside, he's like, what does he say? Like, he's just started taking what was there on that day instead of trying to break records. He just went to what was there on that day. And that's something that I've really liked.
That's interesting,
too.
yeah.
And if you do it in training, it's the same thing. Like if you had asked me, I PR'd that bench the other day, you know, out here, it's like, I got my bench shirt last week. My neck is fucked up from this fucking injury that I had, whatever. I thought I was going to take like 630 off of a fucking 2-board. And I ended up taking 715 off of 1 board because he's like, nope, make another jump. And I'm like, yeah, it feels all right. I guess we'll just keep going. And I was like, holy shit, I just PR'd and it wasn't terribly hard and I didn't get terribly up for it. And I just drove 13 hours the night before. Like, but I just took what was there. And that's a really important lesson for people, but you have to be really honest with yourself. It's not what you want.
Yeah.
It's what you get.
Yeah.
It's different.
That is different.
And he said to, I heard him one time, he said to Snooki, he goes, we're not planning your fucking, he had a bunch of bad meets. He's like, we're not planning your second attempts. What we're going to do is we're going to go to the meet. If you get your last warm up and it looks good, you get to take your opener on the platform. If you get that, then we'll make a decision from there.
Yeah.
If you get that, then you get to take a third one.
Yeah.
And then if you get your first bench, you get to pick a fucking second one.
Yeah.
And I was like, that should be everybody's outlook on a
question.
meet. You know what I'm saying? Not like, these are the things that I'm doing. And then to just totally be a contrarian, also, sometimes you have to just decide what you're fucking doing.
Yeah.
I think that the nuance in lifting and in business and all of that is like knowing when to pull the fucking trigger and when not to. And it's very difficult, especially like I'm sure for you, like with like how long you've been doing this, like, am I being a pussy?
Yeah.
Or not? Because there's times where you're like, is it worth it? Right now,
Very important distinction. Yeah.
It is.
It's hard. You know, like in your heart of hearts, you know.
Yeah.
In your heart of hearts, you know, like, am I being a bitch right now, or am I not? Like, it's like last Sunday we moved the whole fucking gym on Saturday. We moved 2,100 square feet of fucking rubber flooring, like.
Yeah.
And my training partner's like, "What are we doing for bench on Sunday?" I'm like, "Fucking, I'm not doing anything.
Nothing. Yeah.
I'm pushing around this monolith.
That's strategy,
like,
bro.
I'm not fucking doing this for what reason?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that's something I learned from him, where it's like, you don't get strong in one day.
No.
You don't get strong in 1 week. So why would you get weak in 1 week?
Yeah.
That's not how it fucking works.
Yeah.
Like an object in motion stays in motion, and I get that. And like, you know, doing the lunges and stuff keeps me healthy and keeps me moving.
Yep.
But like, I don't know. I haven't deadlifted in 3 weeks just because of my schedule. I bet you I could walk out there and pull fucking 720 right now.
Yeah, I believe you.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
Because it doesn't just go away.
No.
You just have to like continue showing up and doing what you can on that day, and eventually it kind of, you know, like what's that stupid meme that's like, people think success looks like this.
Oh, yeah, it goes like
but it's
this.
actually like fucking all
I can
over the
confirm
place.
that.
You know what I mean? Like,
It's like a squiggle chart.
when you're down, it's like you never think, it's like some movie says, like when you're down, you never think you're going to be up again.
Yeah.
You know what I
Blow.
mean? Yeah, and when you're up, you never think.
I know that one.
Yeah,
That's
you
a
never think you're
good
going to be
quote.
down again or whatever. And it's
Yeah.
like, it's the truth, man. I mean, like, I tore my pec in December or January, whatever it was. And like, I'm just getting around to where, like I said to my training partner the other day, I was like, I think I could probably start swinging at floor press PRs. Like, I might be able to do 500 right now, like get within a jump of my best. Did 455 for 2. And I'm just like, and it's taken this long to get there. You know what I mean? Like, it just takes, all this shit takes time, and you just have to be like, okay, I'm not at my best right now, but I will be.
Yeah.
You know?
De Niro said something like, don't overhype yourself when shit's going good, because there's a run time to that. and don't get overly too down in the dumps when it's not going good because there's a run time to that. So they both end.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same thing as reading comments. Like I was watching Brian Callen said something about this the other day. It's just like, don't read comments because it'll be 20 fucking positive ones. It'll be one negative one. You'll focus on the negative one, right? So there's that happens, and that's a thing. But also, you'll think about the 20 comments when you're making content going forward, and you'll be trying to please people instead of being authentic with what you're doing.
I could see that.
So it's the same idea, right? Where it's like, I'm just am who I am. My lifts are just what theirs, and I'm just going to keep showing up.
Yeah.
So I can't get too up or too down, and that's very difficult with who we are as people.
For sure.
Because when I'm up, I want to be like, I'm fucking King Kong in this motherfucker.
Mother. Facts. I feel that. Danny.
Yeah, I was like kind of. I mean, you mentioned like guys that you saw lift crazy weights, but like, what is like the one? Is it the squat that really sticks out to you as like your like, or like what was like one lift that really sticks out to you in your career?
For me, or that I witnessed.
For you.
For me, I would say probably the 1075 that I did. No, you know what? I think a turning point for me was I squatted 905 to a box with a cambered bar, and I had that injury going on. I didn't squat for 10 weeks or 8 weeks. All I did was drag a sled and do accessories.
Shout out to that. People need to hear that.
Or like
you're doing something.
I would do narrow deadlifts and stuff. I couldn't go out wide, and I was doing PT. And we had like this date. She's like, "You're squatting in 8 weeks, and we're gonna get you ready to do that." And my best was like 855 with that bar, and I was like, "I'm fucking squatting 905 on this bitch," and it was like one of the most technical box squats I've ever fucking had, and it was like. You know, I think I posted it to like Q, the boys are back in town. Because I felt like I got re-excited about training again, and I realized that I wasn't made of glass and I could come back from these injuries. I could do stuff, and that was kind of a turning point for me to like show me like, yo, you're a tough motherfucker. Like you can get through this. And, like you don't have. Sometimes like science isn't the answer. Sometimes you just have to nut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And I think that was because that was the training cycle leading up to the 1075 at 242.
Yeah.
So that was probably one of my big moments. Either that or I would say the one that like would get me the most teary-eyed would be I benched 628 at WPO. It took 3 times to get it. And my coach had died, and I had started hashtagging for Frew. His last name was Frew, and I had missed 2 benches, and I'm standing there, and I'm like, you know, like, oh, maybe I could sneak in a meet somewhere in here. I was already thinking that.
Thinking that the third miss is coming.
Yeah, and DB, like one of my best training partners, not a great lifter, one of the best training partners I ever had. From behind me, he just goes, "This one's for Frew," and I was just like, "Fucking, let's get it," you know?
Yeah.
And dude, like, I'll never forget it. It was in like kind of a warehouse type of gym, like. I'm bringing the bar down. I was walking up to the bar. I was like, you get this or you break your fucking arm trying. Like, you are getting this fucking lift right now. And I bring it out, and I bring it down. And they had been yelling at me to keep my head down because I was lifting my head and I was dumping it forward.
Yeah.
So I'm keeping my head down, going. And I look up, and I see the ceiling. And as I'm bringing it down, I had the thought, like, there's probably tons of dust up there. and then I get a press, and like, bah, comes up, and I'm like, yeah, motherfucker. Like, and I ended up coming in 3rd and got a WPO medal at that meet. So that's probably the lift that like meant the most to me, because I knew if I got that, I was getting through the meet. I knew I was gonna pull it. And then we kind of like played games with coefficient on my deadlift. I only pulled like 755 or something, and then that got me the top 3 placement. But that bench was a big one for me. They called me, like on the broadcast, they called me the comeback kid.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's like really cool footage. I stand up and I'm like, rah, like had a mullet at the time, so I looked like a maniac.
So good. Cool.
Yeah, let's get into the specifics of like some good, solid like training accessories like for improving your squat, bench, and deadlift, because you put out the bench motors, you got some fire fucking supersets and shit like that. What's your favorite go-to? For like me, mine's favorite like skull crushers and shrugs, superset and that.
Yeah.
What's that for each lift for you?
So for for squat, I honestly think that flipping and figuring out how to train my quads has been big for me. I know that like that's kind of the opposite of what a lot of the Westside stuff says, but training my quads has made a big difference. So like sissy squats, I really like. Really stretched out split squats where I'm like really stretching my back hip flexor, squeezing that glute. Those are really good for my squat development. We started doing like raw pulse squats after.
Okay.
So put
just putting a bunch of blood in them.
You know what a Mars bar is? It's like basically like a safety squat bar that kind of wraps around your back. So it sits really low.
Yeah.
So we would go like start at the top, squat to the bottom, come halfway up, come back to the bottom, and stand all the way up.
Serrano shit.
It's like quarter rep squat. Yeah, I got
heavy sets of 8. And I feel like that's made me more durable, more resistant to injury. Plus, like
adding raw squatting as an accessory to, multiply squatting is interesting.
You got to be careful where you put it.
Yeah, I like it though.
We just go like 3 sets. So I just go like plate.
Yeah, I fuck with it.
And the third set is a bitch.
Yeah.
For benching, I really like doing dips recently.
Most guys that are great benchers are really good at dips.
I for whatever
I would say
reason,
that's pretty standard.
Yeah, for whatever reason, I'm pretty good at them and I like them a lot. Those and like we started doing like we do like a tricep movement, whatever it is, like some sort of push down, and then I'll take micro minis and I hook them to our prowler because it's low. Mm-hmm. And I do like reverse, like pinkies high, reverse flies. So you get like an isometric on your tricep and you get rear delt out of it. So those two together I really liked. And then for deadlift, it's always the same old shit, man, like stiff leg RDL type stuff. And good mornings that you don't go very far with. So a big thing with good mornings with me that I noticed for myself and a lot of my lifters is like, you can get really strong at good mornings. But if you do it in a fucked up movement pattern, it doesn't matter. So like if you're doing like, now if you deadlift conventional like KK with a rounded back, then sure, load up your good mornings and round your back. For me and for most people, I think you want to have like a more neutral back, whatever. So I'll do good mornings. I'll only push them as heavy as I can do, and I'll only push back as far as I can do without rounding my back.
Got it.
If I want to do rounded back like flexion work, I'll just do like seated good mornings with a med ball and I'll round my back intentionally and then arch out of it. But if I'm doing like heavy good mornings, it might only be 40% of the range of motion, but I'm loading my glutes, my low back and my hamstring and then standing up. And I think that has helped have a carryover to like breaking at the hips in my squat. Like when I first got to Westside, I could only do 2 plates for a good morning for a set of 3. Louie laughed at me. He was like, "You're remarkably weak for how big your squat is."
Yeah.
And I was like,
Tim Harold, when I did 185 the first time and he did 700, and he said, "Yeah, that's really fucking bad, and your abs look good, but they're fucking weak too."
Fuck yeah. So by the time I left there, I did 5 plates quarter on a cambered bar for 3.
Yeah, it's
good mornings, but they looked like shit. But I got much stronger that way. So really strong arch back good mornings for deadlift, I think have had a great carryover for me. And dude, like, not to kiss everyone's ass in here, but like the lunges, I think have made a big fucking difference for me. They allow me to train harder now because I'm not as brittle. Yeah. Like literally.
You just the added, because you've always done sled stuff.
Yeah.
That was just an added GPP that really wasn't in the sphere of how a lot of multi-ply guys train.
Lunges, dude.
Yeah. Because people do like, do 3 sets of 12 or maybe split squats. There's a lot of guys that do those.
Yeah.
But doing them like in the same manner as you guys do sled work or wheelbarrow carries, it just wasn't, and that's interesting that you did, 100. That's how it's not 400, 800. No. Like we're pushing, because I'm also trying to keep my body weight low with them too, which I guess to some degree you felt your metabolic rate come up too.
Yeah, I've been able to eat a little bit more. I've stayed leaner. And also like because of only doing 100 and that way, like if I was like, okay, it's time to go to 242.
Yep.
I would just do 200 lunges instead of 100. And it's like one of those things where it's like, I don't want to pull all my cards at once. Yep. So when it's time to do that, because eventually it will be time to be closer to 200 pounds than 300 pounds.
Of course.
I'll just add in an extra set of 100 lunges and keep everything else the same.
It works like that too.
And it'll just.
Isn't that crazy? Once people understand that, it's
like
wild.
it's like if you pull all your carbs out of your fucking food and you lose 30 pounds, but you're trying to lose 50, what do you do after that?
Yeah.
You stop eating?
Yeah,
Like, you know what I mean? You can't pull it all at once.
Yeah.
So.
No kidding. Trayvon, your turn, buddy.
So kind of go off Cole's question, like, what are some of? I'm kind of curious, like, what are like exercises that you don't like then?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
The antagonist.
So I won't do anymore. I won't do like the safety squat low box stuff.
Shit's
anymore.
hard on you.
I mean, I did like 625 to a fucking like 11-inch box narrow with a cambered bar. Like I just don't need to do it. I don't like the risk versus
risk reward.
It's just not worth it. It's like it's a dick swing.
Yeah.
And like, and where,
Hashtag dick swing.
where I'm at in my career, like I don't give a fuck when I squat raw. It doesn't matter to me. So like that was always kind of like one of those movements that we would throw in over there, like to be like fuck you, like we're strong raw, and like I don't care.
Yeah.
Like so I don't do that.
That's
anymore.
not your game.
No, so that's one, and I don't really do reverse hypers in the same way that I used to.
How do you do
them? Them like real loose. I don't do them really heavy. I've just like done enough of. I just like to me, I'm like I fucking.
So blood pump work at this point with
at
them.
the end of my workout, and I superset those with face pulls and abs. So a rule in my lifting crew, every rep of reverse hyper is a rep of face pull. Every rep of face pull is a rep of abs. So if we do, and we do it in like a circuit. So it's like
I like that.
25 reverse hypers, 25 face pulls, 25 abs.
All right.
And so that way you're just getting, it's like, it's at the end of a workout. We're bullshitting about what we're going to do after, doing face pulls, doing whatever. But that extra little bit of volume in my upper back, like helps my shoulders stay healthy. And like, I'm not going to do what y'all do for abs. Like, I'm not going to come in here and do abs for fucking 45 minutes. It's not fucking happening. I know who I am, and it's not going to do it. So this way, I've created sort of like an OCD type thing where it's like, no, dude, like you did 3 sets of 25 here. You're doing 3 sets of 25 crunches.
Keeps it balanced
whatever.
out.
And I think that's helped my low back, but my stability rather. But I fucking hate reverse hypers, bro. I hate them.
I want to like them, but it never. I think it's because I have the QL SI.
Yeah.
Unless I feel really good, I don't feel better when I do them.
Yeah.
And I think it might be just because now, before I had that issue, I did them way more often. I did them super heavy when I went and all that. But like once I got injured in that specific spot, it just fucking aggravates the shit out. And I hate it because I want to get the benefit from it, but it's like it would make me worse. So I was like,
it's not the cure-all.
No, it's not the cure-all.
It's not the cure-all. And but I think it's another one of those things where it's like you don't get to, like with reverse hypers, you don't get to say you don't like doing them and you're not going to do them until you've done so many of them that I believe you're actually sick of them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like you've been powerlifting for 3 years and you're sick of reverse hypers. It's like, well, I guess you're sick of lifting big weights then.
Yeah.
I don't know
if they felt good, I literally would do them every fucking day.
Right.
Because I felt the benefit when they did feel good.
And I've been in that too.
Yeah.
Where every fucking day I was
walk
doing,
in,
like,
fucking rock, bro.
Yeah. And now I've kind of gotten away from that and I feel a little better, but I think that's just, again, because I've just got a lot of miles.
Yeah.
And I've done a lot to my career has been very dense. I think my first meet was in 2014. Mm-hmm. So I haven't even been powerlifting for 10 years. But within those 10 years, I've been at the highest level that you can be at. And so I've taken a real strong beating because of that.
Yeah.
And there's certain stuff that I just pull out because I'm like straight bar overhead press, you can miss me with that. It ain't fun.
Ain't catch me outside on that one.
When I tore my pec, it was the only thing that I could do.
Yeah.
And I fucking hated my life on Wednesdays. This fucking thing, because I'm not good at it. Hurts my shoulder. And so that's another one that I don't really fuck with. I'll do like dumbbells. Yeah. Or, you know what's an awesome one is bow bar overhead press.
Okay. Never done that.
Yeah. So because you might have to be careful with it at first, but when you press overhead with it, because of the angle, you can like squeeze your upper back.
Interesting.
And then when you bring it down, it gives you like your triceps kind of hit your lats.
Yeah.
So it kind of takes the bottom pressure off of your shoulders, and then you kind of like can squeeze your upper back to get it going. So you're getting a lot of delt work from it without the crazy stress in the bottom.
I fuck with that.
And I really like it. I don't know like the real value in it other than like it doesn't hurt.
Then there's value there. No, that's cool. Anything else you want to share with the listeners Anthony, about I don't know, just kind of like parting shots on training and competing or anything like that.
Yeah, so like I know you asked me earlier like if I'd talk about Lou passing
Yeah,
and all
please.
that stuff. So like for me, I never made like a post on social media about it, and I actually got some like weirdo fucking messages from people I don't know. So like no post about Lou, and it's like I don't even know who the fuck you are.
Yeah.
How I kind of process death is none of your fucking business.
Facts.
It was a very weird situation for me because me and Lou like had a really tumultuous relationship. Like he never really treated me super well. And that's fine. Like that's who he was as a person. Like, and the thing I can say about Lou is that he was who he was. And for better or worse, I can respect that.
Yeah.
We didn't see eye to eye on a lot of stuff. And so when he passed, it was one of those weird things where like when I first got the news, I was like, anyway, and just like kind of carried on with my day. And then, you start thinking about it and it's like, okay, without this guy, what doesn't happen? I'm not here right now.
It's a lot. Yeah.
I'm, and you can like really butterfly effect that shit. Like,
no question.
But like, if you think about like my 3-foot circle, what changes, right? It's like, well, I wouldn't have met my wife. You know what I mean? Like if I didn't have a relationship with this guy, wouldn't have met my wife because I wouldn't have been working at that gym because I wouldn't have even known what fucking multiply powerlifting is. When it comes to the direct relationship with him, like he got every ounce out of me that he could. Now, because of his personality type, he didn't really know how to get more from me than that.
Yeah.
And he got 2360 out of me.
Yeah.
And that was every fucking pound that he could get out of me. Dave added 150 pounds to that because Dave's style was different. His personality type allowed him to kind of let me back off a little bit and figure certain things out. But he had an ego in like a different way. Louie just was like, couldn't figure me out with some stuff and just said, you're never going to total more than 2350. And it's like, say it again.
Yeah, of course.
So I had a lot of resentment towards him and how things ended there and all that stuff, which will like, I can't really get into the super details of that because it'll come out in the documentary that Michael's doing all that stuff. But as far as the death stuff is just wild to me because I felt like pressured to make like some post on social media about it. I haven't talked about this like at all, right?
Yeah.
So people are kind of really seeing what's going on with this, but I felt pressured to make I'm the type of dude that if you tell me to have a good day, I'm gonna have a bad day on purpose. You don't fucking tell me what to do. And so as soon as I felt like pressured to make a post about this, I was like, fuck that. You will not see me make a post about this. It's nobody's business. I will talk to my friends who actually know how things went there. Yeah. Talk to you about it. Talk to Dave about it. Last time I saw that dude, was not a good interaction.
Sure.
And so, I mean, my last positive interaction with Lou was probably 1.5 years before I left the gym.
Got it.
So it's a little weird. You never want somebody to pass. You never wish death on anybody. At first I thought it wouldn't bother me, but then there were a couple posts that I saw that it affected me in a way where it was like, this dude helped me move my career along so much. And it's a fucking shame. Someone, that was that influential in the sport, when we lose somebody like that, the shit that I had a problem with the death thing was just people fronting on the internet, they actually fucking knew him. Yeah. That sort of stuff where it's that pissed me off because I did actually know him. You know what I mean? And I did actually eat breakfast with him every morning for a chunk of time. I did have arguments with him. We did scream at each other. He has hugged me after I've had big lifts. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? He was always respectful of my wife. There were things that were very positive and things that were very negative. So the death of him was a weird thing to deal with.
I think a lot of guys felt that way, Anthony.
Yeah.
I don't think it was just you. I think there's a lot of guys that, basically, for lack of it, head over heels for Lou no matter what. Yeah. But there's a lot of guys that felt like that. But then also the butterfly effect, I think, is a really well said thing because even with me never being full-time, never being there for huge chunks of time, but just always kind of being around for 8 or 10 years. Yeah. The effects of me as a person being able to program, understanding the limits, what was possible, the amount of relationships I created with all these great lifters that taught me so many things. Like, bro, I am not near as good at not even in the fucking ballpark or the intensity, which I came by intense like naturally, but then when I felt what it really was supposed to feel like, addicted to it.
Yeah.
I couldn't get enough. I didn't care that Gritter was fucking screaming at me. I fucking was like, this is what I need in my life.
Yeah.
And now how can I get this out of other people, right?
Right.
And so he showed the blueprint.
Yeah.
What the fuck you think I got going on here?
Right.
So I look up to Arnold, but the reality is I want to be like him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's like, I don't think I ever said that to him, but I tried to do it by showing what I was creating, right? And, you know, I tried to get Louie to come here a couple different times, and I called Tommy, and Tommy said no detours. So he's like, yo, I ain't coming. But that's Louie, though.
That's who
I
it is.
I couldn't get butthurt over that. I wanted him. He came to the old gym multiple times. He helped me on my first 700-pound squat. He side spotted it. But, you know, I tried to get him to come here probably it was about 2 months before he died.
Yeah.
And I was like, I heard there was a Louie sighting on the east side.
Yeah.
And I tried to get him, but it just wasn't happening. It didn't fucking matter who was here.
Yeah.
And so but that's part, you're not going to get, you just get what you get, dude.
You got to respect that he is 100% down for it. I'm going down with the whale.
Yes.
Like and he just is, he was who he was. The legacy of Lou will like live on forever. Westside Barbell, I don't think, you know, like it's, it can't go up from where it is now.
No.
It cannot, it will not. And what he created, I feel really fortunate that I got a chance to get in there and experience the things that I experienced and have the, you know, for better or for worse, man, like experience Lou in his true form, where it was like, you know, like, I'm happy that I had a fucking screaming match with Lou. Not many people can say that. Not many people can say that. Like screaming at each other, thought I was gonna get a fucking bloody nose. Like screaming at each other, and I puked after. Actually, I was like fucking wound up, and you know, like I'm happy that I got that experience, and I'm happy that there were certain days where he was just like shitty to me and gave me a reason to perform. You know, I was at Nationals in 2018. I had that crazy injury. Like, you know, my wife's helping me put my underwear on. Like, I can't bend over, and I'm fucking opening with 1,040 squat. And I saw him in the warm up room, and I was still training there. And I was like, "What's up, Lou? How you doing?" And he just goes, wouldn't talk to me. Was just mad about some other shit, right? And that's just who he was. And that's what, like, the negative things are why the gym was the way that it was. Yeah. And you can't get one without the other. If he had walked up to me and said, "What's up, Anthony? How you doing, man? How's your groin? Are you feeling okay? Do you need some?" Like, that gym does not exist with that. So you have to take the good with the bad. And it was, so him passing was a difficult thing for me. But I think that, like, he died how he wanted to, his own terms. Yep. You know what I'm saying? That's like something that you could say about it. Like, he went out the way that he wanted to. He never compromised for a motherfucker. And dude, like, that's, to me, that's fucking sick.
Hell yeah.
Like, you know, it's not the happiest existence to have, I don't think. But I think that, like, when he died, I think Kellen said this to me, like he died his way. Yeah. And he doesn't want anyone, like, all of the, like, heartfelt posts and all that. It's like, he would hate that shit. Yeah. He would fucking hate it. And like, you know, I just the way that he operated on a daily basis, I think it was, I'm just very grateful that I got to be a part of that. And, like, for whatever reason, my life led me there, and it changed my fucking life.
Well, and the indifference is, to your point, is part of why it's great. So it's like, you're okay. It's okay that you don't have to feel like you want to draw a big heart around his name. Right. You know what I mean? Like, yeah,
well, that's part of the reason. I mean, like a real quick story, just to put it where me and Lou were at, was like, he was obsessed with fucking deficit deadlifts. And I'm like, I just don't think that they work for me. It's too much. Like, I'm like, you know, he's like, "What are you doing today?" I'm like, "I'm doing rack pull." Like, literally the opposite of what he wanted me to do. He's like, "You should do a 4-inch deficit." And I was like, "What am I going to do? Fucking 4-inch deficit, pull 600 and call it a fucking day?" Pass. And he just goes, "You're not pulling 600 off a 4-inch deficit." And I was like, Okay.
That's his coaching though, right there.
So I fucking pull I pulled 605 just as like a fuck
Yeah,
you.
yeah, of course.
Pull the 605, throw it down, and I look at him like, yeah, motherfucker, and he just starts laughing, and I'm like,
He got you to do what he wanted you to do.
got me, and it's like you want to kill the guy, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that was just one of the many times where like one time
Yeah.
he let me think that he was talking shit about me when he was not.
Yeah.
Like I came out from, I had missed my alarm. This big long story anyway. I got to Circamax Day. They already had all the bands on the bar, and my phone had shut off in the middle of the night. It was like a shit show. So I show up, I miss my PR, and I'm like standing there, and I hear him. I thought I heard him say my name, and I'm like, "What the fuck are you?" I was like, "I haven't missed a squat in fucking 6 months. You're gonna talk? Give me that again." So I took it again, and I got,
He said nothing.
he just looking at me, going like, you know. so I take it and I get it, and I'm like, yeah, motherfucker, I don't need no breakfast. I don't need no fucking, fuck you, like screaming and yelling, throw my belt or whatever. And then the dude he was standing next to comes over to me. He's like, you know, he didn't say a fucking word about you. Just so you know, like he let you think that shit because he thought you would go again if he did. So he like wasn't even doing the thing and picked up on me that I was affected by it.
You
And it was
needed
like,
it though.
yeah, and like I mean, it made me take that again and get it, and like it, you know, that training cycle ended up being pretty good.
There's a gang of guys that have those same stories. Type of stories.
It's all this, dude. It's like we've had all a very similar experience.
Yeah.
There's like these little nuanced things that probably just change how people feel about it now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, thanks for sharing that, especially because you really haven't.
Yeah.
And I think, and to your point with the post, that's why I took that camber bar 700, because I remember when I made 700, I went out to lunch with him and he said, Corey, I know you're not going to be like us. Like,
yeah.
But you can't accidentally do this. I
Yeah.
know that you want that. You know what I mean? He knew it was important to me, and I love lifting. And so whenever I took 700 on that camber bar and I paused it, and I was so hyped that fucking morning because I was like, he ain't going to want me to write some fucking book about how I looked up to him.
No.
He wants that.
Yes. And
That's
that's like, that's sort of like the beauty of the whole thing, right? It's like his passing kind of showed me what that experience meant to me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because at first I was like, I don't give a fuck, like whatever, dude. And then it hits you and you're like, no, wait, hold on a second.
I do give a fuck.
I do give a fuck. And this person was monumental in shaping my life, my career, my relationships, my place within this space of lifting.
Yeah.
Was really shaped by like me being a part of that gym.
Sure.
And that doesn't happen if he didn't give me a fucking chance. Some fucking kid that he didn't know.
Yeah.
And, you know, like people can say like, well, he'd give anyone a chance. He didn't give a fuck. Like but it wasn't anybody. It was me. And I experienced that. And so like, it was a very, obviously, as you can tell by the way I'm talking about, like it's still conflicting for me.
Yeah.
You know, and how I feel
That's
about
okay,
it.
by the way.
Yeah.
Anthony.
It's just like how I process the whole thing. And like, I still shy away from making posts like we were talking about before where it might seem disrespectful to him.
Yeah.
Like I still shy away from doing stuff that's like contrarian with trigger warning against like the Westside stuff as like a respect to that guy who's not here anymore. And it's like for now, like eventually I won't feel that way, but now it's how I do. So like, I'm going to keep it, 100 with like, I'm not going to post shit that I feel like might be misconstrued as disrespectful to him just out of like, because of what he did for the sport. And Multiply, like lived and died by Multiply, dude.
Literally.
When everyone was fucking saying fuck Multiply, he literally didn't even let raw lifters in the fucking gym.
He didn't care.
Like he didn't give a fuck. He had no idea how big or small raw lifting was.
He didn't care.
He did not give a fuck. And to me, like that is not how I want to live, but that is sick to see someone stick to their guns that long.
Their whole life.
It's a rare. It's not even rare. It's like
that's why he's 1-on-1,
impossible.
bro.
Yeah, it's impossible.
What I felt like my spot was that I had no business being there. He let me in to learn because that's the other thing is if you really wanted to get strong, Louie would talk to you.
Right.
Obviously, he answered his own phone at the gym forever. So it's like kept showing up, kept trying to learn, kept getting beat by Amy, whatever. I make a few weights, and I knew that because I didn't look like most of you guys, I could bridge the gap to higher end gen pop that actually wanted to learn some of this stuff. I'm not saying those guys couldn't find it on their own, but with the platform I had at the time with Muscle Farm and bodybuilding.com, I could take some of the stuff I learned in that gym and pass it on to more general people, basically.
Yes.
And that was my spot, right? And I realized that, one, I would have never been even close to as good of a lifter, programmer if I didn't understand the intensity, all of those things. But then I was able to say, no, this is Westside Barbell. And I think like maybe some of them would have came on it, maybe some don't. I'm not on a high horse on that. But I knew I had a chance to spread it.
Yes.
To different people that might not have ever seen it, potentially.
Yes, and still doing that.
And still doing that. So that's where, like, whenever I post things or do things, I always give respect to it because I'm not this guy if I don't experience that in my way. But then my way to pass it, and I think Tommy kind of knows this about me too, like, that was, like, my spot, basically. Or
Dude,
at least that's a spot I kind of...
The amount of kids that are fucking 19 to 25 that have never put on a pair of briefs that have Westside Barbell shirts because of you should be on their fucking payroll, dude. Yeah, say like
I've sold a lot of bands for them, I can tell you that.
You should be getting fucking percentage of that their stock or something because I'm sure a lot of people have found that and that culture and stuff. And what you're doing here, I think, is something special too.
Thanks, man.
And because of like that, and like you said, we talked on the phone where it's like, there's parts of this gym that you model after 100%. Westside, and there's parts of the culture from Westside that you keep out of here.
Yep.
It's pretty obvious which ones are which.
Yeah.
Right? And I look at that, and I'm looking at my time at Westside, my time at Sweatshop, my time at Doghouse, my experiences with you here, right? And I'm looking at my crew, and I'm like, I got a lot of awesome stuff to draw from.
Sure do.
To be like, this is how I want to run my fucking crew, right?
Hell yeah.
And I feel really, really, I don't want to say blessed, but I feel really fortunate in that because you do get a chance to pull the best of the best. Like I'm taking, like my programming is literally a mix of like your shit, Lou, Dave, and like a little bit of Laura and Shane sprinkled in there. And it's because like I put myself in those positions to learn all that stuff. So I think it is our job as, I don't want to say influencers.
Yeah, it sounds weird.
I don't want to fucking
You're such
say
a
that.
good influencer.
You say gangsters. You say gangsters.
I hate that. I hate it so much. But I think it is our job as somebody who, because dude, like a lot of the culture in all those gyms is that social media is stupid, or social media, we're not into it or whatever. Yeah. And so guys like you or me, or different people that have come there, passing it on. A lot of this stuff just dies.
Yeah.
If we don't do it. Like a lot of this stuff just ceases to exist, and the only thing people have are book of methods and the bench press guide.
Yeah.
And a lot of the guys who are even more so now, because now Lou's gone, right? And so they're not going to be able to say they're on the forefront of the newest and best training because they don't have the mind there. Yeah. And they don't have the crews there for him to experiment on.
And he knew how it would be. That's why he did what he did.
Yeah. Dimitri told me the first time I was there, he's like this Russian dude, and he's like, we are all just rats for Louie. And it's true.
Dimitri's a character.
Just trying to figure out what we were supposed to do and all the experiments and stuff. And now that they won't be able to do that.
He moved from Russia to be one of those rats.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Dude, he's like, just experiment for Lou. So now that he's gone, like, it's kind of on guys like you and myself that have a crew, and Dave too, and all that, to bring that stuff and keep it going and experiment with our guys. Yeah. And because
Petri dish of savages, that's what I call it.
Hell yeah. And and follow that sort of that role in influencing others to look at this stuff and try new things.
Fuck yeah. Dude, thanks for so much time and coming on the show.
I appreciate you having me.
It's fucking epic, bro.
Yeah. Any chance I get to be out here, dude, I'm always like, I never want to be the dude who's like, can I come hang out? So I'm just like, I'm going to be in Ohio.
These are always the best conversations.
Open invite, bro. You already know that.
I appreciate that, man.
Fucking Roundtable Podcast. I'm boy Corey G, Small Arms Danny, at Trey Speed, who's in a different seat. The graphic gangster himself, Cole Susak. Shout out Sam Adams, Max Effort Muscle, Anthony, you the motherfucking
gang,
way.
let's go.
All right, we out. Peace.